Hello everybody, Megazard X here, back at it again to give y'all another I was about to say exciting, but maybe exciting is an understatement right here because somehow, literally a little over a week ago, I was just minding my own business and stuff at work, and I was just scrolling through my phone, and I was like, oh, just an average, typical break session, and I was like, wait a minute, something leaked at GameFreak? I was like, and I started scrolling through this mess, and I was like, wait a gosh dang minute. We started getting beta sprites for Pokemon, unannounced projects, stuff that we already known about in the past, like with the anime and stuff like that, unannounced Nintendo Switch games, potentially Switch 2 games, potentially source code and stuff leaking out for Switch 2 games before Nintendo even announced the Switch and stuff like that, and a whole lot more. And I'm just combing through all of this stuff, unused assets, music and stuff like that, and everything else in between. I was like, oh shoot, I just want to know who was that Joker that got into GameFreak and out of GameFreak. And as of now, as of the point of this recording, hadn't been caught yet. Because I know those Nintendo ninjas, as well as them lawyers, they're out in hot pursuit. They got their pitchforks, they got their torches, and they lighting up people's homes within these next upcoming weeks, if not months, and trying to clean this mess up, though, because the whole gates are flooded. Like oh my goodness, this stuff is out there. And some of the stuff is really interesting. So in today's video, I just want to go through and just talk about some of these most intriguing announcements that they managed to bring forward. And I'm not going to go through and talk about the super heavy spoiler stuff, especially with upcoming games like Pokemon Legends ZA. I avoided some of that stuff though, but I'm going to give you at least a basic premise, some of the stuff that would be kind of common knowledge going up into it though. But if you want to see some like those nitty gritty spoilers and stuff like that though, I mean, I'll leave it out there for y'all. Y'all can go ahead and follow certain people on Twitter, and that stuff is out there. It doesn't take too much digging for you to find it though. But I'm going to be mostly talking about the gaming stuff, and it for at least for the first half of the video. And then maybe towards the very tail end, maybe some of the other side things I thought was just kind of intriguing, at least for me personally though, but it might not be, for everybody out there in terms of like what they really want to look forward to, which is like these new upcoming games that we just don't know anything about though. So we might as well go ahead and jump up in it though. So if you hadn't already done so, make sure you're going to hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into this video. Oh shoot, now where the heck do we even begin with this mess though? Like we gotta start somewhere though, and all this stuff that's been coming out has been pretty interesting. Even in the lead up to this, right before I was sitting down and recording this, I had to double check, make sure on some of these Discord logs I'm in, as well as like some of these Twitter accounts I'm following, just to make sure that nothing else happened to transpire though. But I think we mostly got most of the important meat and potatoes in terms of like new unannounced things that are coming up in the future that we can kind of go through and talk about right now though. So let's go ahead and jump up into some of these games. So first off, let's go ahead and talk about Pokemon Legends ZA, because remind y'all, this game was announced at like one of the previous Pokemon Presents presentations, earlier this year. And we knew that this is going to be a game, more than likely it was going to be coming out next year for 2025 at this point though. That's just kind of what it's kind of confirmed to be right now. And we just been sitting and waiting for this game though. And then lo and behold, we get all these different leaks though. And according to the leaks, originally this was planned to release in 2024, but maybe some internal shifting and stuff and some internal delays happened to where obviously now we know that this is basically going to be a 2025 game up in here though. And then obviously with us being somewhere within the realm of Kalos, it might have been called a different region, at least if we're trying to do something in the past. We still don't know those kind of details, or at least I'm avoiding those kind of details. We do know that obviously with Kalos, you do have mega evolutions and stuff, and we all know that there's going to be some new mega evolutions out there. One of them kind of makes sense as a given in terms of like what we can kind of expect, and as of anything else, it's kind of up in the air though. But with Zygarde and stuff like that, like Zygarde is going to be the major focus. Obviously there's a 10% form, a 50% form, the full power form, so we knew that something with Zygarde could potentially be a thing though. And it looks like there might be a mega form for Zygarde as well though, as well as one other Pokemon, but I won't even mention it for the sake of spoilers and stuff. I'm pretty sure Zygarde is kind of a given, so I'll just go ahead and throw that out there though. Now in terms of the development for this game, it is in development for the current Switch, and that's basically all we know now. So it seems seems like this could probably be like potentially one of the last games that might be just only for the Nintendo Switch on the market though. However, in terms of any other games for like Switch 2 and beyond though, who's to say though? But at least ZA is confirmed, at least now, just only as a standard Switch game, and it would make sense for the Switch 2 to be backwards compatible and would still support Pokemon Legends ZA. Now, as of now, and in terms of, non-spoilery kind of stuff, that's most of the major news we had with Pokemon Legends ZA. Now let's go ahead and flip it over to the Pokemon Gen 10 game, because we got some stuff out of this stuff as well. We even know the code name for this though, and it's going by Pokemon Gaia. Now, if you know anything about Gaia and stuff like that, originally when I heard that name, I was thinking about Sonic Unleashed, like Gaia from that game. I was like, oh shoot. But if you know anything about Greek mythology, Gaia is like the mother of the Titans and stuff. So I had some people kind of believing that, this could be based upon the country of Greece and stuff. Like what we've already been in Europe with France, with Kalos. So it kind of would make sense. We might have a Pokemon game based around Greece and stuff. So obviously that would be the Gen 10 games in development. There will be 2 different versions. One that is abbreviated as K and N. So K and N, at least these are like associated with the Japanese names. Obviously, those things are going to change, especially when you get this game localized for a lot of different other languages out there though. But that's the information we have as of now. And the main thing will be island exploring like an archipelago. Now, when I think about island exploring, I honestly think back not all the way to the Orange Island days in the Pokemon anime. Not talking about that. I'm thinking more so about Sun and Moon and stuff and exploring those different islands and stuff. And it was a nice fresh take on the adventures of, Pokemon. Maybe I felt a little bit salty on it because they took away gym leaders and stuff like that though. But I'm like, as long as I had the gym leaders and stuff still in this game, I might be okay with it. Sun and Moon kind of rubbed me off the wrong way. I mean, I like the first Sun and Moon, don't get me wrong, but Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, I kind of got burned out on that mess though. So I don't know. When I hear Archipelago, I'm like, man, it doesn't seem like you'll have too much to explore unless you get like that Wind Waker vibe kind of going for you though. So I don't know. I have to take it with a little bit of grain of salt though. We'll see, if that's still being in the plan and the works. So if that happens to turn out to fruition though. But that's what we got for the information right now. And lastly, it's in development for the Switch 2, but a version for Switch 1 is also being tested. Now this would definitely make sense because in terms of the timeline for Pokemon Generation 10, they could do a similar thing like Legends Arceus, where Legends Arceus dropped earlier in its said year when it launched, like in January, and still drop out, like they dropped Generation 9 in November. Like they put enough months in between them from the start and concluding parts of the year where they're able to put out 2 major Pokemon games. Not saying the same thing will happen in 2025, because I think the Switch 2 should launch that year, but the question is it going to drop it out in the springtime or the summerish time or whatever though? But regardless, probably by the holiday season, the Switch 2 should definitely be out on the market for at least some period of time though. So whether or not should those Pokemon Generation 10s drop that year, or they're going to take the extra little bit of development cycle and actually try to drop those as 2026 games, we don't know that information yet, or at least it's not in the leaks as of the time this recording though. But rest assured, it's interesting how we know that this is probably more than likely going to be a Switch 2 game, but also there might be a Switch 1 version as well if they manage to tinker around and make that work. I mean, yes, they want to probably tap into the large user base of different people that are, playing the Switch right now though, but like, oh shoot, like, could you think of a Pokemon game having 4 different versions, like a K and N for Switch 2 and a K and N for the original Switch? Like, there's gonna be some people out there that's gonna buy all 4 of these different versions when you really don't need to. Like, that would be wild in and of itself though, but my goodness. One of the last major games that we probably had no clue about, at least in the lead up to this, is Pokemon Synapse is the code name for it though, and they describe it as a new multiplayer game, and it's a collaboration with Ilka, which Ilka are the ones that made Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and GameFreak, and has been described as a Splatoon-like, and it's not a quote-unquote MMO. Originally, when this information was leaking out, there were some terms being thrown around as it possibly being an MMO, but they managed to do a little more digging and figuring out it's not necessarily going to be the case, but it is going to be more so on the Splatoon-like side. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is going to be kind of like Splatoon? I'm like, wait a minute now. Game Freak knows how to, for the most part, make some semi-okay Pokemon games, or at least in most recent memory though, but for them to have a dedicated multiplayer game, I mean, yes, you're partnering up with Ilka, which Ilka can make some games. They did make that One Piece Odyssey, which was happened to be really good. I mean, they know how to make some games, but I don't know how, if I would personally trust them with a multiplayer game that probably should still get some updates like Splatoon and be able to constantly maintain that mess while also trying to do other things as your Pokemon Legends ZA, your Pokemon Gaia, and anything else that you might have in the future beyond some of this leaked information though. I don't know how I kind of feel about that though. I would like to see the concept of it though, but I don't know how well they can execute it though. But I'm a firm believer of not judging a book by its cover though, but we just have to kind of wait and see how all of this stuff plays out. So that's it in terms of the 3 major new games that they happen the leak within this Tera leak. However, we also managed to get some information for this Nintendo Switch 2 itself though, because now we figured out the code name for it is Ounce, which if you go back and look at a lot of these other rumor reports, the Ounce term has been used in some other rumors prior to this. So this is kind of double confirming that yes, once you had the rumors also linked back to some of this leaked information, yes, like that seems to be the confirmed code name for this Nintendo Switch 2. It is an Ounce. And it's also crazy because the leaker that's leaking all this information, who's living on Discord somewhere, I don't know where he's at though, but he needs to dig a little bit deeper though, because I'm telling you, like Nintendo and their lawyers and ninjas, they're gonna be out there like Princess and the Frog, try to drag that Shadow Man down to who knows where. I'm just saying though. But he did confirm that he did have some of the source code for the Generation 10 games, and if those are confirmed to be Switch 2 games, could you imagine having source code leak out for a Switch 2 game before Nintendo even fully announces the Nintendo Switch 2? That will be wild in it of itself though. And that's probably most of all the ties that we have with some of the Switch 2 information that at least I've been able to see through some of these leaks though. So that is crazy in it of itself though. And outside of that, that's about it in terms of all the major games that are we known about or potentially we would know about, like a Generation 10, and some that we don't even have a clue about, like the Pokemon Synapse code name that we managed to get out of these different leaks though. But y'all gotta let me know what you think about these major 3 different games along with the Switch 2 code name also being out there, and just kind of give me your thoughts down in the comment section down below. But that's it in terms of most of the game stuff. Now, let's go ahead and spin it to some of the TV and the film stuff. I won't get too deep into like a lot of the film stuff though, but I will point out some noticeable things that also could technically tie back into potential games in the future or anything else in between though, because one of the movie projects also leaked. I won't go into the status of it because you know, like you don't want to get spoiled about the actual movie and stuff like that though. But I will say this, one of the Pokemon banners out there had like some female character up on there and a brand new Pokemon I did not even recognize in her bag. I will leave that out there right now. And you know how some Pokemon movies do where it's like they introduce a new Pokemon before it's even available in the current games. Like if you think back to like Lucario and the Mystery of Mew and stuff, like Lucario wasn't available back in Gen 3. That wasn't until Gen 4. Little things like that. So there are confirmed Pokemon that we don't even know about that should be announced sometime soon, maybe in Legends ZA or maybe possibly within Gen 10. I'll just kind of leave that out there though. So yeah, so that was called Project Bonner, B-A-U-E, or Bauer, B-A-U-E-R. So yeah, so that is something to think about right there. And then there was also a great Detective Pikachu movie in the works as well, which is a sequel to the Detective Pikachu movie. And apparently it's been in development since 2021. And I'm like, what the heck took them so long to manage to go through and develop this movie? I guess because of COVID, that kind of pushed some things out, because I honestly thought that they were going to get back to making a sequel to that movie. I felt like that was definitely one of the movies that kind of kick-started all of these different video game adaptations, whether TV shows, movies, etc., up into the limelight. So I'm like, I was wondering why it was, but you know, the current status is unclear and it's unknown if it's actually been canceled or not, or if they're still working on it. You know, who's to say about this though? And then obviously they had some anime stuff related up in there, like if you want to know about the reason why they decided to close out Ash's story and move on to a brand new protagonist like what we have currently in the anime, that information's out there. And then they have like a whole bunch of other stuff as well though. So if you happen to be a big anime fan within the Pokemon series, there's some information out there that you might want to go through and do a little bit of reading on though, because some of the reads, it's it's fairly interesting. Now back on the game side of things though, they had stuff leaking everything from like Pokemon Generation 3 stuff, Generation 4, Generation 5, and currently as of the time of this recording, they're combing through Generation 6 stuff as of the moment though. And I will not forgive Pokemon Company of this, because if you heard that one theme, remember in Pokemon Generation 5 where they have like the black and white themes and stuff like that, where your health gets really low and they play that little music and it's like dun 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 dun, like all of that stuff. They have a similar theme for Generation 6 with Pokemon X and Y. And I was like, you have got to be freaking kidding me. We were robbed from the Pokemon Company. We were robbed. Because I tell you now, every time I heard that low health music stuff, I was always getting into it. Like I will leave the console alone, just putting down the DS and just chill and listen to that music though. Because that was a banger of a theme right there though. Every time your health got low though, you knew things were going down though. The fact they robbed us from that from Pokemon X and Y is crazy. Then obviously you have a whole bunch of other leaks up in here, including like a bunch of beta sprites and stuff like that. The whole entire freaking lore of how the Pokemon universe started with Arceus, Dialga, Palkia, and then, like Rayquaza, Kyogre, and Groudon, the creation of the Earth itself though. I was like, man, the lore information is really tight, especially when you see all those crazy triangles with the circles as well that you see in like games such as like Heart Gold, Soul Silver, along with Pokemon Legends Arceus. It all makes sense now. Make sure to read up on that though, because that is a really nice, interesting read. There is a little bit of disturbing information out there as well, like Typhlosion. I'll leave it at that. If you know, you know. Typhlosion, oh my goodness, man. What the freak, man, what the freak. And then there's a lot of other weird, crazy stuff out there though. But overall, it's really interesting seeing how all of this stuff managed to leak and seeing all this little bits of information that was not necessarily shouldn't have been leaked, but it's unfortunate though, but at the same time, it is a really nice, interesting read. Alrighty, y'all, so that basically does it in terms of all of the information I want to go through and talk about in terms of some of this major Tera leak information that's transpired from GameFreak themselves. Obviously, this is like a result of like a phishing scam or something like that. Somebody at their company had to hit the wrong link out there, and man, they went in like a thief in the middle of the night, took that information and ran with it and just threw it out there all over the internet though. I imagine there's probably even some more crazy stuff that happened to leak since, by the time I was done recording this video and dropping this out there for y'all to watch. So I would like to hear all your thoughts down below. Heartfelt regards to all of the people that had their information leaked. Obviously, don't share that mess around. Don't even dive up into that mess though, but hearts felt for all of that stuff, because that information should never leak. Obviously, GameFreak, you need to clean up your mess along with every other gaming company out there. Like you got to clean up your mess and make sure none of this stuff has happened. Because like now in the record books, we had that Nintendo leak, we had the Capcom Giga leak, we had the Insomniac leak, and now this GameFreak one. Like this stuff is happening a little bit too often, a lot more than what you should have. Your security should be a lot tighter than this though. But y'all gotta let me know down in the comment section down below what all that you think about all of the entire leaks out there though, in terms of like, the major game announcements that we know that are coming, like Pokemon Legends EA, the Generation 10, the unannounced one, some of the anime related stuff, and then all that interesting information we got from Pokemon Gen 3 almost all the way up to Gen 6 right now, in terms of beta sprites, music, animation, cut content. Shoot, a whole lower half of Kalos was cut. And hopefully we get that mess back in Pokemon Legends EA. I'm just saying though, like they could redeem that game so much within the Legends game. You cannot fumble the ball now, GameFreak. Well, okay, you already fumbled the ball and the team's already up by like 2 touchdowns though. Like you got to clean this mess up and come out greater in the second half. I mean, come on now. We had y'all blown the first half. Let's see what y'all do in the second half though. All right, that's gonna do it in terms of today's video though. So remember y'all, until whatever video I make next, see y'all.